You're listening to CreepGeeks Podcast.
Waking up in the flower bed, the sun is up, table set, we eat and drink. Body and bread, blood and wine, there's a time to live, time to die, and a time to be. Slow down and listen for a heartbeat. With everything in motion.
Yeah, that's nice. This is the CreepGeeks Podcast. Season 7, Episode 264.
Terrifying predictions for 2023, Paranormal Energy Quiz, and listener messages.
Yeah.
Of human life and the body and time that we occupy, it is all together sacred. Slow down and listen for a heartbeat.
Yeah, we thought we'd take it down a little bit in this episode before we scare the hell out of you with the terrifying predictions of 2022. I'm sorry, 2023. It's a dumpster fire either way. Anyway, welcome to the podcast. I'm Greg.
I'm Omi.
And we talk about paranormal stuff, ghost stuff, spiritual stuff, whatever.
Anything.
It's all good. I don't mean whatever like as in whatever. I mean whatever as in like whatever we want to talk about, whatever we find to be interesting on the internets, because that's what we do. Sometimes we go places, see things, and do things.
Yeah, not just the internet. Places we
That's
go,
right.
and sometimes even what we're having for dinner.
And so, yeah, unless it's really cold. Because I was born in the 1900s. I don't have to be cold.
Yeah?
I'm just saying.
Okay.
So anyway, we're going to move into the podcast. This is going to be the last podcast of this year, 2022. The dumpster fire continues. I mean, hey, from 2020 to 2022 has been, mediocre at best.
Is that in your head because we found the one last 2020 dumpster fire sticker I sold?
Yeah.
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 I was surprised. I only bought like one order of those and sold every single one except for one.
Yes, with a quickness.
Yeah.
Because it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
And so, it is what it is. And hopefully it's not going to get worse. But, whatever, man. It's all good. It could all be a dumpster fire. But we're going to roll into the podcast and tell you about some things. Mm-hmm. Now, we do have lots of different ways you can interact with us. One of the best ways is on our Facebook page. If you look for Creep Geeks, you'll find it. And we also have a website, CreepGeeks.com, where you can submit stories or just read the stuff that we talk about. Everything we talk about in the podcast is in the show notes, available for you to click the links later if you want. And we have a communication phone number that you can use.
That phone number is going to be 575-208-4025.
Right. Now, one of the things in our podcast title alluded to the fact that we have some messages.
Yeah.
I'm going to play some of those messages for you right now. These are from people that have called our number. Okay. You ready?
Sure.
All right. Well, let me figure out how this machine works. This is one of my favorites so far. This came in just the other day. And so we like to put this kind of thing in our podcast. If you send us a message or contact us in any way, if we think it's interesting, we put it in here. Here we go.
I'm sorry, I got the wrong number. Sorry.
That's a good one.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, you have no idea what we're doing with this podcast, do you?
No.
I know, that's the best part.
Great.
So, yeah, I just figured I would kind of put that in there. And these are, some of the ones that we get. Upon occasion, they're interesting. Oh, I like this one.
Hello, this message is for Stu. Stu, this is Lyndall with ISP Mint Internet. Calling regarding your check availability request for Internet. We can serve your address there, Stu. If you'd like, please give me a call. You can.
That was a good one. I'm not Stu, though, so it's not for me.
You know what it is?
I know what it is. Don't say anything.
Okay.
Keep this is a good one. This is a wholesome one. So stick around. Don't leave yet. Don't go.
Yes, hi. My name's Katrina Ellis. I was calling to give you an update on the kitten that you found. If you
That was good. You rescued a kitten.
Yes, I did.
I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast, but I think we might have.
I was doing.
We're not. Was it not virtue signaling? What would it be?
Humble bragging.
Humble bragging. We used to call it glory hounding.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So, but just to say, I was doing some work for a nonprofit, and we needed to pick out an event venue. We went to an event venue, and me and the person that had gone, we kept hearing stuff inside the building and outside the building. Well, I since the person that was with me knows I run a paranormal podcast, we made a couple of jokes about inside the building. Maybe it's ghosts, ha ha ha. But when we went outside, not only did we hear scratching, I also kept hearing little mews. So in my professional get up, to meet people, I crawled all over a parking lot and under a bush to retrieve a little kitten. And
not to brag or anything.
Yeah. Well, the maintenance person of the building was very nice and took the cat home to his wife.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I need some information on technology, my computer, maybe my mobile spectrum. It advanced this Friday. You might not.
I need someone to help me with my computer, learn to use my computer. Edith Vance.
So sometimes we get that because they see geeks attach the word creep. Now, this lady, bless her heart, called us almost 2 weeks to the day. She called the first time. Mm-hmm. And, I ignored it because I didn't see it right away. I'm like, I can't really, I could help her with her computer, or it's just not my thing. Right? Because she's under the impression that, we're like cheap geeks computer repair or something like that. And we're not. Mm-hmm. But she waited exactly 2 weeks and called again.
Yeah.
So what I'm thinking is that she called and somebody said, did you turn it on and off yet? Did you, what did you do? Did you turn the router off? And then call back 2 weeks later when something happened that she needed to reboot the router. So anyway, those are some of the fine quality voicemails that we get on our number, which is an area code for Roswell. But if you'd like to call and leave us something even remotely ghost related or UFO related or monster, Bigfoot creature, cryptid related,
or a tip on a place
that would be super. Don't go crazy asking for things beyond what people are willing to do, Omi, or we're going to get more.
People are willing to update us about kittens and ask for computer help. So you know what? That's a pretty low bar right there.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Don't do too much.
Okay. Anyways, again, that number is going to be 575-208-4025.
Hey, my name's Randy.
We're getting a bunch of those, too. You guys have a store? I'd like to buy some Bigfoot store stuff.
Yeah. That's partially my fault, though, because we do have business cards in a lot of the local galleries.
So whenever Omi doesn't really want to talk to you, she just gives out our phone number to the CreepGeeks Podcast.
Say that.
I'm pretty sure that's what's happening. I'm like, why am I getting these weird... Oh. You're like, yeah, you can call me anytime. Here's the number. And then there we go. Actually, I have to disappoint people.
Every time I go to our local gallery, the art director asks for more cards because my card is the number one thing that gets picked up from the store sometimes.
You mean our card?
Yeah.
I know, it's great.
Well,
it's a fantastic
been requested
card.
I come up with a different business card for my actual art and craft stuff.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably should.
A smart idea.
Yeah. Because,
Instead of calls about lost kittens. So, and computer.
Well, no, that's a good one. But anyway, I like this one. This is still my favorite though so far. Well, I can't hear it. I guess I got to turn it up. How about that?
I'm sorry. I got the wrong number. Sorry.
Sorry. He's just like, how did you hang up and then say sorry at the end of all that? It's like, oh man. Okay, so look, we actually do get real comments sometimes, and we do get real messages sometimes, and we always appreciate them when we see them.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we don't see them. It's just one of those things. And so I just kind of like to shout out a couple different things related to the people who've made the comment. Like Prospero is riding out some burning joints of fire.
Uh-oh.
Hey, man, this COVID thing sucks. I haven't had a good cup of coffee since COVID. Either I can't taste it or I just don't like coffee now.
Yeah, my sense of taste has changed and is muted. Like, I have one of my favorite brands of iced coffee in front of me, and I'm like, this is stale?
Yeah, and maybe it's us. I don't know. But it's like
a brand that prides itself on being, cold brew, fresh,
I like coffee. I've been drinking it for, 30 years, maybe more than that. 30. Yeah. No, I don't. Weird.
And I know it's fresh coffee.
Get over your coffee. I'm just saying, I just don't like it anymore, and that's the problem. It's not just like it's the taste or something. It's just, I just don't like it.
You don't like Reese's peanut butter cups anymore.
It's weird. You gave me a couple. I love those things. I've loved them all my life, and you gave me a couple the other day, and I was just like, could not be bothered. Don't like them anymore.
He loves Reese's so much that when Greg hit 1 million views on his other YouTube channel, I bought him a Reese's peanut butter cake. That's how, like, Reese's peanut butter cups cake, and
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
On one of my bucket lists, I had to eat a 2-pound Reese cup. I did it 3 times. Not at the same time. Don't ever do that. But I did it over 3. But I don't know. It's weird. He also put a little comment, or in his comment, he put something. I don't know if we should mention him, but his neighbor had passed away. Mm-hmm. Evidently, his neighbor had COVID, and then went into the hospital, and then found out he had like an aggressive form of leukemia, and he passed away.
Yeah.
He was from Kenya, but his family, wanted him to go help with I believe it was a wedding or something, help his sister who was living in the U.S. or to go into the U.S. and help her. I think it was the U.S. Either U.S. or Canada. I'm not sure.
It was like one of those tiny border areas where it's pretty much Canada.
No, I'm not exactly sure. But anyway, she told him basically, the sister told him basically not to go, don't spend the money. But his family said, if you don't go, we're going to curse you and lightning's going to strike you down and kill you right there. Like 4 years later or 4 months later, he died randomly of this aggressive leukemia. It's like, it's kind of funny because curses don't work literally necessarily. Mm-hmm. I think it's the intent you put behind it. But it's like, man, your own family cursed you. So I thought that was pretty terrible. And then Rafe basically popped in about our last episode with the Thomas Divide and the Masonic Marker. And he said, good episode, y'all. It was cool to hear the Thomas Divide audio. I've had a lot of paranormal experiences there, and I recommended y'all to that place at a Halloween event at the Meadery, which is a place that serves mead, in Marion in 2019. Hope you will return. Well, this is like the 3rd time he said this.
Yeah.
So, Rafe, we know.
We would.
We are going back. He's like,
well,
hey, man.
I think he wants to have us do another event here locally again. I think that's what the intent is. Because I've been getting that feedback too, but it's a matter of being invited to some of the local events.
Yeah, because we're not going to pay. And I don't want to rent a place and have people show up. I mean, we have criteria for going to events, especially like local small events in your local town where you're relatively known.
Yeah,
and there needs to be things in place to ensure, people's safety and things like that. Just because you never know, right? You could fall off a ladder and break your neck. You never know.
Yeah. But
fall off the steps, break your hip. Never know. So it just becomes logistically one of those things where if things are in place and it's makes sense and the glaring questions are addressed or answered to make sure that anybody who shows up to have a good time actually has a good time and can leave having a good time.
Yeah.
We're all about it. But when it's not well put together, if there's issues that should be addressed that aren't even thought of, then I start looking into planning and the feasibility and things. And I've been a project manager for things, and you got to think about things like that because otherwise people get hurt.
Yeah. And it's funny, I didn't put this in the notes, but I probably should. As far as Thomas Divide and the Masonic Marker, one of our Patreon patrons, Adam, reached out to us. He's going to head out towards that area this weekend-ish, I think. And he's going to...
I thought maybe he already did.
Yeah, he wants to check it out because from our last podcast episode, he was like, that's pretty cool.
I know he's been there before, so maybe he's going to go back and spend some more time there.
Yeah, maybe send us some stuff, dude. So,
like some pictures.
Yeah.
So, need to see if we can find the infamous gate.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, we don't want to wax on about that, but I thought that was pretty interesting to have some things. But we also received an email, a very nice email. The first email they sent to, the first email was just some pictures that kind of like I immediately turbo trashed them. Well, when I just get random pictures with nothing, I delete them. What? I have enough emails with attachments. If you check my phone, it's like says I have 137,000 emails. Mm-hmm. So that's what I do. I delete them because I get a lot of spam too. Because remember, I have another YouTube channel. And I get spam all the time from China and other places and stuff trying to sell me stuff.
Yeah.
Or want me to be a partnership for gaming and things. So I don't game, just stuff like that. So I'm pretty quick with that.
Yeah.
But this one was when it came in again, because it happened like right after. So she sent pictures in, and then she immediately I'd sent the pictures without context. So here's the context. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And so what she writes is, "Hi, Greg and Omi. I sent the pic, but not the context. Thank you for the stickers. They're placed on my old MacBook. Whenever I happen to see a white Dodge cargo van, I rubberneck to see if it might be my two favorite podcasters in the Albino Rhino. In fact, I saw one matching that description with technology all over its roof yesterday here in Fort Scott. Huh. I nearly drove off the road." She says, "You are always welcome in Southeast Kansas. We have spooky stuff such as the Portal to Hell in Stull, about 80 miles north of here. Sincerely, your fan, Peanut Butter Intro Forever."
We have some diehard fans of that peanut butter intro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I should put it back. It's 50-50. People either love it or they freaking hate it, and that's the end of it. So I will say that our listenership has gone up since we've taken it away. But then again, we're gluttons for punishment. So just by nature of podcasting, the longer you do it, the more people will listen.
Yeah.
It's a slow boil, unless you're already famous.
Well, maybe that should be like a New Year's tradition we do where we just, our next podcast episode or something, we can play it for that episode for the new year. I don't know.
Maybe.
But I think we were not anywhere near, I guess, Fort Scott, but it's really cool that she thought she saw somebody or some vehicle that looked like us.
Yeah, I think that was pretty sweet to let us know, but I'm also super curious, what kind of electronic techno trash did they have on their roof? I know we have on ours. We have solar panels. We have multiple lights to be able to illuminate an area to, in case Bigfoot or a bear or something sneaks up on the van, we can pop all the lights on. But it's really primarily so I don't back into a ditch somewhere because it's possible, right?
Yeah. You mean what happened when we went to Thomas Divide?
No, I didn't back. What are you talking about? That was fine.
No, we should have had the lights going.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that would have been good. Yeah, well, yeah. The only way you can do it to make it worth doing, I think, with lights that come on, if you're off-roader, overlander guy, they're called boundary lights.
Yeah.
Is to put them on a remote control. So that if you're inside the vehicle, you don't have to run to the front to flip a switch or run to the back to flip a switch if you want to flip the switch while you're driving. So it just becomes an aggravation. So I'm going to put them on a remote and then just hit the button and they turn on. But then, start looking at other ways. Do I want all the lights to come on or just some? Some in the front, some in the back, some on the side, left side, right side, whatever. And it just becomes this thing where there's no good solution.
Yeah.
It doesn't require a bunch of needless wiring and reconnections. I'm it should be easier, should be simpler. And it's not. The simplest way is take your car or vehicle somewhere and say, I will pay you a bunch of money to do this. And then you just go pick it up. But, there's parts of that equation that I don't like. The bunch of money part. So I'd rather kind of do.
Yeah.
Do it myself, I guess. Excuse me. Still have the remnants?
Yeah. Remnants.
2023.
2022.
2020. It's already bad. It's already bad. Of 2022, stuck. I like peanut butter. I like peanut butter. Peanut butter. I like peanut butter. I like peanut butter. Peanut butter. I like peanut butter. I like peanut butter. I like peanut butter. Peanut butter. I like peanut butter.
like peanut butter. I like peanut butter.
Peanut butter.
I like peanut butter. I like peanut butter.
Your turn, let me go.
No.
Jump in here, ready?
I do not sing. So no.
I like peanut butter. I like peanut butter.
Well, you know, we all can't be good at everything, I guess. Mm-hmm. Yep. That's all I got. It was on my bucket list. Was to make an earwig. You know, like earworm things.
Yeah.
Where you get stuck in your head. And so that was my attempt. And actually, one of the guys in one of my classes remixed it multiple ways.
Yeah.
And hooked me up for my birthday. And I'm like, I'm going to use this forever, man. He's like, yeah, it'd be great. So, yeah, I don't know. So, okay, moving into the podcast, we do have a couple more things we want to talk about before we kind of go through and do some different things. And one of them is the Nostradamus predictions of 2023. And we're going to check them out.
Yeah.
Because as we all know, Nostradamus is he always has the pleasure, the soft, the happy predictions, right?
Yeah.
No, he doesn't. He is the doom and gloom prophet, right? Mm-hmm. And so, of course, I found this from the New York Post because it was there, and they're pretty good about putting predictions in. So we figured we'd go through and talk about just a couple of them, just to kind of put them out there. It's the reason why we started the podcast so soft.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. See, you know, of course, we all know Nostradamus, 16th century astrologer, plague doctor, heretic, whatever you want to call him. But basically, he has these visions that he had, and he'd write them down, and they put them in, you know, what do they call them? There was even like a sci-fi television show about Nostradamus where the dude had to go, and they would read the quatrains from his prophecies and try to, you know, keep the end of the world from happening and stuff like that. It was basically a book he wrote, which is, I think, was just called The Prophecies, and it's like 1555. So it's been out for a while. You know, you probably get it on Amazon. I mean, it's been out for a while, right? Probably get it on Kindle.
The, Les Prophéties, I guess.
Yeah, I think it just means the prophecies.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, okay, so here we go. First one is Buckingham Palace ablaze. So Nostradamus predicted in 2023 the celestial fire on the royal edifice. Taking literally, this could mean a meteor is heading straight for Buckingham Palace, burning down the house, if you will.
Oh,
What?
Lots of dead fish. That's the first one.
I'm skipping that one. Who cares about lots of dead fish, right?
Hey.
It happens a lot, okay? So when you talk about like lots of dead fish, and basically the Black Sea's living fish all shall but boil.
Huh.
There is lots of things that happen that cause like massive fish kills. Mm-hmm. So this one, you know, it is terrible, but at the same time, I can't look at it and go, oh, global warming and lots of dead fish is what's actually going to cause all this to happen, right? So,
yeah.
Of course, global warming is going to be thrown in here as an evil prophecy, and I don't necessarily think that. I don't know.
I think it's inevitable.
Yeah, I think it's and I also don't think it's anyway. Moving it back, okay. So the Buckingham Palace thing I thought was pretty interesting, but there are other royal families out there, and there are other monarchies out there.
Yeah,
I mean Denmark, you know. So how do they know it's Buckingham Palace? So
well,
we're going to take these predictions, which have been interpreted by the New York Post.
Yeah,
you know,
that's the other thing, because part of this whole reason we put this in is because I was having a conversation with someone who said they were listening or watching another prophet who had a Facebook video, and that prophet had made the prediction that a very, very, very important government building, you know, like royal edifice, stuff like that, you know, would be basically celestial fired. But they never indicated. They kind of alluded towards the end of their prediction that it would be the U.S., not, you know, Buckingham Palace.
Yeah, the thing about prophecies is it's all about interpretation. And, you know, this guy has a video. Who knows? Could be directed energy weapons.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that. So it's just kind of like we're just going to throw it out there and see what it is. Hope, you know, of course you hope none of this happens, but it's pretty easy just to have a doom and gloom prophecy thing, you know.
True, because even if it hits any building, whether something happened to someplace here in America or I mean, yeah, Buckingham Palace is pretty notable, but there's a lot of big buildings in other countries too.
Yeah, I mean, you can call a building King's Apartments. And,
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
And then if it happens, you can be like, called it.
Yeah, flaming toilet flies out of a plane and takes a building out, right?
Called it.
Yeah, see? World War III is another prediction, as it is every
I know.
year. But it seems like it might be even more closer to being true because the whole Ukraine thing and the Russian thing and Putin thing. So, who knows? But, to go along with that, the Antichrist cometh. Thought he was already here.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Didn't this get predicted?
But it is
in,
terrifying. What? It's been predicted a bunch.
Okay. So.
Yeah, and it says Nostradamus writes around 2023, the Antichrist very soon annihilates the three. Right? 27 years, his war will last, and the unbelievers are dead, captive, exiled with blood, human bodies, water, and red hail covering the earth.
Now, through this article, this writer or editor tries to be kind of pithy and clever with mentions of pop culture as well as stuff that's going on currently in the news. And honestly, just like the rest of America, some of it just falls flat. I would like an actual article or deep dive, over some of these predictions.
Yeah.
Not comparing it to somebody's Halloween costume or Meghan Markle. That's mean. I don't think it's relevant. Why don't we take a look at what these predictions mean and why they keep happening?
Yeah. Well, it's not going to happen with the New York Post article.
know.
So, but I just figured that, the ones we look at and see, here they put them in this article. Well, the very first one is global warming, right? The second one is basically what? World War III.
Oh, the fall of a monarchy.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, the fall of a monarchy. Monarchy, and then World War III.
Yeah.
So you can pretty much just copy and paste this.
Antichrist.
Oh yeah, and Antichrist. You can pretty much just copy and paste these terrifying predictions,
Which are
for the past 10 years, if longer.
Identical to, this is the same predictions we used to hear on like Coast to Coast AM,
Yep.
I'm like, so same old.
Yeah, nothing's really changed.
I mean,
So there you go. We don't want to alarm you, but those are the predictions. Now, this is something I'm even more freaked out about.
Okay.
So, those Roombas, right? Those little robot vacuum cleaners?
Mm-hmm.
Of course you do. They're like $300. Everybody wants one.
Yeah.
Even though they don't really, we actually had one. It ran around. It scared Pepper, so we stopped using it.
Yeah.
Because whenever it would beep to let you know it was going to charge or back up and find its home or take off or go somewhere, she doesn't like the sound of things that beep in Chinese. Because when you buy products, right, like Chinese-made products, they're like kind of like knockoffs of other things, like the non-Roomba version of the Roomba that we got. Mm-hmm. The beep sounds a certain way, and she knows that, and she doesn't like it.
Okay.
So, which is weird. It probably goes back to the NOAA weather alert radio that we had to let us know when there was terrible storms coming, and it beeped the same way, and our big dog was terrified of that because whenever he heard the beeps go off, he knew that thunder and lightning was coming.
And we had that day where we both had to go into work during a hurricane.
Yeah, because the work, our place of employment was too passive-aggressive to say, hey, it's a hurricane, possible state of emergency, you should stay home.
Yeah.
They're like, we'll just leave it up to you.
Yeah.
If you make it, that'd be great. But we're not going to be responsible if anything happened to you on the way to or from work, right?
Including people who normally worked remotely like me. We were told to come in.
Right.
And then we both forgot to turn off the weather station, which as soon as 5 p.m. hit, I guess went off nonstop about the hurricane.
Yeah.
Poor puppies.
And so, I actually told them in a meeting one time, I was like, you guys just need to make a decision for weather-related events. Because you're like, oh, you might get a point on your attendance. And it's like, none of this that we're doing here is worth, are you going to cover my deductible if a tree branch falls on me or something? Because that's how they would do it. Mm-hmm. It'd be like a hurricane or something like that. And then, or a snow event. And then so, you might get a point. And then if you showed up late, they would take a point, and then later on they might decide to give it back to you.
Yeah.
It's like, stop.
But, yeah. So all that to say, we have had multiple home accessories that make the same beep noise, and we've had to give them up because Pepper doesn't like them.
Yeah, they're pretty scary sounding to her. So, all right. So anyway, evidently Roombas can record video for whatever reason. I did not know this. It makes sense, I guess. They take pictures of whatever. I mean, they seem to have figured out how to keep Roombas from running over animal poops and drag it around your house. Mm-hmm. So this article basically came from MIT Technology Review saying, excuse me, a Roomba recorded a woman on the toilet. And how did its screenshots end up on Facebook?
Oh, my God. That's...
So in the fall of 2020, gig workers in Venezuela posted a series of images to online forums, right, where they gathered to talk shop, and says all the photos were mundane, you know, if sometimes intimate household scenes just changed from low angles, right? But in a particularly revealing shot, a young woman in a lavender T-shirt sits on her toilet doing her business. Mm-hmm. And the images were not taken by a person, but by development versions of the iRobot's Roomba J7 series robot vacuum, right? A neighbor sent to Scale AI, a startup that has contract workers around the world to label audio, photo, and video data used to train artificial intelligence.
Okay.
So I guess they want the vacuum cleaner to be able to say, oh, okay, that by using images, you can't go there because this is an obstacle to avoid, something like that.
Yeah.
But there were several shots of scenes that internet-connected devices regularly capture and send back to the cloud. They usually have a strict storage anyway. But earlier this year, MIT Technology Review obtained 15 screenshots of private photos that have been posted to closed social media groups.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, and the photos vary in type and sensitivity, and so the most intimate image they saw was a series of video stills of the lady.
Oh, my gosh. And then there's one of a kid. Wow.
So iRobot is the largest vendor of robotic vacuums, which Amazon recently acquired for $1.7 billion. It's a pending deal, right? Mm-hmm. And confirmed that all these images were captured by its Roombas in 2020. Excuse me. And all of them came from the special development robots with the hardware and software modifications. And it says that are not and never were present on iRobot consumer products for purchase. They were given to paid collectors and employees who signed written agreements acknowledging that they were sending data streams. So not only did this robot capture just pictures and just happened to be wrong place, wrong time or whatever, which is not the real issue.
Yeah.
They were employed by this to generate the data it needed so they could train the AI for obstacle avoidance and everything else. Right?
Yeah.
The problem is the third-party workers here had put those pictures up in that closed group.
And see, from a corporate or business standpoint, I have a problem with that because that gig, that temporary contract with those people, there should have been some exclusions and some conversations, some things that you had to sign that would have prevented this. Because if you work for a technology company, security and privacy leaks like this are a very big deal.
Well, they sign it all over. They don't really go through and say, oh, these are automatically uploaded to this closed social media group. You know, they send them to Facebook.
Yeah, and a closed social media group. Okay, so you can have an internal forum, but once you break an internal forum and go beyond that to a public social media
even
platform,
if it's a closed group, like a private group, whatever, where you don't,
I mean, there's one thing between an internal memo email and Facebook. There are so many ways to get what you need off Facebook.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's just something that's like, man, that's freaking, because if you think about it, and it's like, it's pretty freaking scary to a certain degree that you can have a device if it has any kind of image capture on it. Where does the data actually go? Do you trust the cloud? I don't know.
I mean, I trust the cloud. What I don't trust.
No, I don't. I don't trust the cloud because Why should you not trust the cloud?
Well, I trust the cloud to an extent. What I don't trust are hackers, gig workers, people with temporary contracts, because in the end, it goes down to a single person making a bad decision.
It's not that I don't trust the cloud necessarily. I don't trust who has access to it other than me.
Yeah. It goes that single person that makes that decision. Hey, let's throw these on Facebook.
Yeah.
And what were they? Now, what we didn't go over in the article was some of the images, they had labels on them. So it'll be a rectangular box that says TV, plant, flower, ceiling light, human,
Yeah.
So sadly for this girl in the lavender t-shirt, how many more images have to get collected of a person sitting on a toilet before the robot is smart enough to go, that is a person on a toilet?
I know. Well, it doesn't really care.
Yeah. And
I mean, that's to be algorithm. Now, iRobot is basically terminating its relationship with the service provider who leaked the images, is actively investigating the matter, and is taking measures to help prevent a similar leak by any service provider in the future, and the company did not respond to additional questions about what those measures were. Because really, they don't know. Okay, so how can you teach this device to discern between somebody in a compromising position versus just a human? You really can't.
Oh, and there it is, right there. And it was up to the paid data collectors to remove anything they deem sensitive from any space the robot operates in, including children.
Well, guess what?
So it goes right there again, down to the person who makes the judgment call.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to take a quick second and take a quick break, and we'll be right back. And you're listening to the CreepGeeks Podcast.
Hey, this is Seth Breedlove of Small Town Monsters. You are listening to my favorite podcast, the CreepGeeks Podcast. That's all I got. That's it.
Are you looking to start a podcast?
Hey,
then see this episode's show notes for our unique promo code to get up to 2 months of free podcasting service with Libsyn when you sign up for a new account. Get your show on Apple and Spotify. Get helpful audience building stats and all the support you need to sound your best. They can even do video. Bring your podcast to life and have your voice heard here, there, and everywhere with Libsyn. Again, see our show notes for our unique Libsyn promo code and get podcasting.
Yeah, you can get podcasting.
Okay.
So that's the scary part, right? Want to get that out of the way. We are going to talk about this quiz, Paranormal Energy Fields and Frequencies quiz.
Oh, yeah.
Because, some of these questions give me heartburn. I'm like, hold on a second. But anyway, one of the things that we didn't really mention, and I was going to circle back to it, but there's not a good way to do a good segue, if you're trying to spell it, right? Mm-hmm. Is since we've been invited to Kansas, right?
Yeah.
You got to have a reason to go to Kansas.
And it looks like there's a couple of good reasons.
Yeah, a couple.
Yeah.
But one of the ones that she told us about, right, is, and this is kind of funny because when she said this, or when she wrote it in the email, we're going back to the email thing again.
Yeah.
The first thing I thought of was that show Supernatural.
Oh, okay.
Because they're riding around Kansas and all sorts of crazy places, and I think one of them is where they go to a portal to hell or gates to hell kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Well, evidently, she's got one that's about 70 miles away from her.
Yeah.
Which is not too far away, I guess, in Kansas. So, just a peanut butter intro forever, right?
I think this was mentioned in, like, Supernatural. So, yeah.
I mean, it makes sense, but so she says in southeast Kansas we have spooky stuff such as the portal to hell, which is in Stull, about 80 miles north of here. So we did go through and kind of click on some stuff to kind of take a look, and it's like there's a couple different things, like call it the gates of hell,
gateway to hell,
portal to hell. One of the things I read, which I thought was interesting, and I don't know if this is true or not, even the Pope won't fly over that area.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
It's supposed to be one of the 7 gates to hell. Did you know that?
That kind of pushes it up on the I want to go visit.
Yeah, I'm kind of like, if we're ever in Kansas, guess who's going to swing by? And so what we'll do is we'll go check it out. So send her an email. Hey, we're going to be here. So anyway, here's how to visit the Stull Cemetery. Stull. So you can visit the gates of hell in Stull, Kansas. Right?
Pretty cool.
I don't really know how to get there because if you go to Google Maps and you try to put in the address, we did add that to our saved places in Google Maps. We have a little, like, it's on our website. You can click on it and see like 156 places we want to go.
Yeah.
One of the descriptions is it's across the cemetery is across the street from a red brick building. Because Google Maps really doesn't seem to know exactly where this place is at all. Because according to one of the descriptive terms in the article was that it's the size of a postage stamp. It means very small. Why do you believe that the Pope would not fly over Stull? For that reason. It's one of the 7 gates of hell. Yeah. So from Lawrence, Kentucky, Stull Cemetery is about a 20-minute drive west of town. Right? You can use Google Maps, but just know it may take you past cemetery to a person's house.
Yeah.
But it's directly across the street from a red brick building, and the cemetery would be on your right. If you're coming from Topeka, it's about 25 miles southeast of Topeka via US 40. Same thing, red brick building on the right. So what actually happened there, and this is according to historyfangirl.com, which is one of the more recent articles.
Which is
blog
good.
posts or whatever, yeah, because I always try to find the most recent. So
sometimes we find stuff and it's like from 2009, and we end up not finding the place. So
yeah.
And
it says there's a few different versions of the Stull urban legend. No one's quite sure of what actually happened there. However, the local legend is that Stull Cemetery held one of the 7 gates to hell, and that the devil uses this portal on Halloween night.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay.
But what's the real story? Now, she references WeirdUS.com, which is an unsecure website.
Yeah.
So, one of the most important legends is that the church serves as one of the 7 portals to hell. So, there's evidently a church there, right?
Yeah.
The devil reportedly makes a personal appearance in the cemetery on Halloween at midnight to visit the grave of a witch from whom the devil had a child. Their child is said to materialize in the surrounding woods, taking the form of a werewolf.
Oh, so it's a love story.
Yes. Werewolf, dog, man,
And
whatever label you want, right?
Yeah.
And visitors who have made the midnight trips to the cemetery have fallen victim to mysterious phenomena. Many of them have experienced missing time. And they found that although according to their watches they've spent several hours in the cemetery, all they remember is basically next to nothing. So you're there, and then you're like, nothing really happened. Then you look at your watch, and it's like 4 hours later, all SpongeBob style, right?
Unlike the TNT igloos in West Virginia.
Yeah, we lost time.
Or the Aurora Cemetery in Texas.
Lost time there, too. I mean, basically, we went up in Aurora, and we found it pretty quickly. It took us, we were like maybe 15 minutes because we were on a time.
Yeah, we had to get someplace.
Yeah, I mean, we're navigating, we're traveling. We need to be certain places, certain times, just for whatever, it's just what you do. You kind of keep on track. And it's like an hour and a half later. I'm like, what? Why is it so late?
Remember, I actually looked at our phones, and it was an hour and 48 minutes.
Well, all right, well, that's pretty close to an hour and a half.
Yeah, but that's almost 2
hours. Unless you're getting paid for it.
I
know. It's weird. So there's a couple different places like that where we have experienced missing time and don't remember really anything happening.
Yeah.
So
these visitors that have the missing time, on top of that, for those who dare to camp out behind the church for a night or 2, they will hear weird and awful noises. People who are brave enough to are encouraged to spend the night behind the church to avoid patrols performed by local police that occur every hour or 2. People are encouraged to bring lots of extra batteries for their flashlights because they will have lots of problems with their flashlights going out mysteriously. It'll also be a good idea to bring warm clothing, a tent, and a cell phone, not to mention telling a friend where you will be in case the devil tries to take you down to hell with him. So, these are insider tips for visiting a cemetery. My whole concern is they mentioned right here, local police regularly patrol the area.
Yeah.
So you're trespassing after dark.
Oh, maybe.
Okay.
Or maybe the town's so small, I got like nothing to do.
Okay.
So, I mean, who knows? You can go there during the day. But, you know, a lot of times you can go to these places, and when you talk to the authorities when they go by and say, this is what I'm doing, this is why I'm doing it, this is where we're here, then they wind up having more questions about what you do.
Okay.
And a lot of times they're like, hey, look, can't be here all night.
Yeah.
I'm going to come back around in a couple hours. You know, or you get somebody who's like, yeah, I'm new. I'm a brand new cop, got all sorts of authority on me. You got to get out of here right now. Try to kick you out. It's like, no, dude, I'm doing business, man. I'll leave when I'm ready.
I figured out a slight workaround for them. Ask those people to tell you a story about their own experience there. Well, have you had anything weird happen here that you could tell me about?
Well, when you're talking to somebody who's like 20 years old and is now a cop, you know, it's like, I got more experience in my shoes. Yeah, I don't know. It's a thing. Some places you go are really nice and some places are not. But a lot of times they're really nice. More often than not. But every once in a while you get somebody that wants to come up and ask you a bunch of silly questions. You know, I go back to my Am I Being Detained videos that are always relatively interesting.
I cannot stand those.
I know, but it's just funny.
Now, the author of this History Fangirl site also states that the website Prairie Ghosts, which we've used in the past, details the story more in depth, but claims that not only is Stool a gateway, but that the devil holds court there personally twice a year.
Let's call it Stull.
Stull?
Not Stool.
I don't know. All right. So the devil holds court there twice a year. They also detail rumors that the devil has appeared there since the 1850s and claims the original town name was Skull. Okay.
That makes more sense.
Now, this whole devil holding court thing, we've heard the same folklore towards South Carolina.
Oh, it's all over. I
Yeah.
mean, you got the Devil's Tramping Ground. That's the only one. That's in North Carolina, though. But yeah, that's where the devil shows up.
Yeah.
We all know the devil went down to Georgia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Trying to make one of those crossroads deal.
Now, the church that was supposed to be there in the graveyard was mysteriously knocked down in 2002. So it was a limestone church. For decades, it had drawn college students, curious folk, and looky-loos. Somehow, tracks near the church indicated there was a demolition equipment that had brought into the church to push the walls into the middle of the church. So
why would they do that? Who did that? Because the guy was like, I didn't authorize this to be torn down. You think, because remember we talked about this before, like maybe there's that secret sort of like paranormal hit squad that goes out and does stuff.
like the Georgia Guidestones.
Yeah, like the Georgia Guidestones and that last, the Church of Chapel of Rest. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Where there's like, you know, quartz crystal markers everywhere and boundary devices and things that are set up.
Well, it's
possibly
interesting.
set up.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that because this particular article or tidbit, it went so far as to reaching out to the mayor, a resident. Yeah. And he owns the land for the cemetery along with two other people. And he was told that he was trying to tell these people he hadn't been informed that the church would be razed and that he wasn't sure who authorized the demolition. And I did not authorize it to be torn down. So this is a guy who has lived there. Actually,
he owns the property. Yeah. It's a small town. I mean, you would know. You should know. So how did it come across and do it? Like, how did it come across to be able to go into the cemetery and knock this stuff down? Because it actually looks like the last cemetery we went to, which is a small town cemetery.
Yeah.
How do you get heavy equipment in there and knock it down? I don't know. It's just, it could be a road there, but we're just looking at a picture. And we do have links to everything we talk about in the show notes. So if you want to check that out, you can certainly do that.
Yeah.
Kind of see what's going on. But yeah, I was hoping there was more on it, and there may be. If we find stuff that's become super interested, we'll start adding stuff. Like I said, we have a Google map where we add stuff to, and I think it's still shared on our website because I had to turn it off for a while because I was trying to edit the map and it didn't work right because I found a couple discrepancies. But so far, I've got like 158 different places that are haunted or spooky or supposed to be spooky, and a large majority of those are free, no cost. If you can get there, you can hopefully experience whatever at no cost to you. Except getting there. You know, I mean, there are a couple where you have to pay for a tour if you're going to camp, like the haunted amusement park, you know.
Well,
that makes sense. But so anyway, we keep things updated, and there's a link if you want to check it out.
Sometimes I click on some of these like road trips, and it's like every single place is like $200 entrance fee.
Yeah, and I don't want to do all that.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I mean, it may be worth it, may not be worth it. But I like the idea that you can just kind of show up and check things out, and then determine if you want to spend monies.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. So it's test time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're going to take a quick test. All right. You ready? I'm going to ask you a series of questions.
Okay.
If you have a link open on your webpage there, on your computer, and you answer these, be honest if you got it right or wrong. I will be honest in telling you I got 62% right. It was eviscerated by that. Like, what? Because it's like some of these questions were written, I think, at a time where devices, and I don't want to say, because then you might get them right and do better than me.
Okay.
All right, so we're not going to do them all, everybody, because that'd be really boring, and we've got about 10 minutes to do this. All right?
All right.
So we'll do question number 1. In the 1980s, a Polish physiologist or phyologist, I don't know what that is, basically said electronic emissions radiates from the body as it dies. What's the name of the electromagnetic emissions from a dying body or a dead body? Your choices are black body radiation, neutron radiation, or necrotic radiation.
I'm going to go with what sounds like death and go with necrotic radiation.
Click it and let me know what you get.
Yep, I got it right.
Yeah, see, for a second I forgot people were listening and they couldn't see what we were doing. Investigators sometimes try to introduce energy into an environment during an investigation. Which of these is a valid method that is not generally used?
Not?
And the answers or selections for answers are EM pump, white noise generator, convection heater.
So I know during investigations on TV, I've seen a lot of people using an EM pump and occasionally a white noise generator. We've used a white noise generator a couple of times.
Yeah.
So convection heater? Let's see.
It is correct.
Yeah.
In reality, which of these approaches would also introduce energy into an environment? Turning the heat up, turning the lights on, lighting a candle, or all of these?
Probably all of these.
Click it and see.
Oh, turning the lights on is
That's
the
right.
right answer.
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay.
Well, do you know why?
Why?
Because it's more electrical or electromagnetic energy versus than convection or heat energy.
Okay.
So you got that one wrong. Okay, it's fine. Which of these methods would not introduce electromagnetic energy into an environment? Laughing, boiling a kettle, or using a laser grid?
Laughing. I got it right.
Correct.
Yes.
All right, number 5. Which type of electromagnetic radiation also allows night vision cameras to work? Ultraviolet, infrared, or thermal?
Infrared. Yes, I got it right.
Very nice. Which of these is not part of the electromagnetic spectrum? Radio waves, X-rays, sound. Take all the time you need. You have 3 seconds.
Sound? Yes.
Correct. I'm glad you got that right because, I like sound. All right. It's going to be your final question. REM pods generate which type of field? Magnetic, static electric, or oscillating?
Static electric?
That is correct.
Yeah.
Actually, one more. We're going to make an even number.
Okay.
And we're not going to do them all because if you want to, and we have a link to this, so if you can go, you can do it yourself if you want to be boring on your podcast. All right. You are likely to experience radio noise when using what type of ghost hunting gadget?
Okay.
EMF, meter, REM pod, spirit box.
Spirit box.
Yeah, it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a couple. Anyway, I'm not going to impugn some of them. But yeah, I thought it was pretty funny. So I went through and did it. And you know what my thing was? Is I didn't pay attention to the knots as much as I should have. Like, which one of these is not it? You kind of just like go through. So I was like, man, I'm not doing very good. But it is what it is. But yeah, there's, I think 20 questions. Okay. And most of them are pretty easy. There's a couple.
I'm doing good so far. So.
Well, all right.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that?
I don't know. You had told me outside of the podcast how some of the questions were good and some of them were maybe this needs to get updated a little bit.
Yeah. Like there's one of them where it's like, this device only does this. And it's like everyone you buy does
these things
multiple
now.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just included. So, all right, that's dumb. But
yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. And since, I didn't do as well, I figured, you know what? Let me see how this does. So, yeah. There's also another one that basically has it's called the Paranormal Quiz of the Year 2022, and it's basically about shows.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, I don't care about that, but because not everybody watches this kind of stuff. But there was some.
There's just too many to watch, which I think is funny because we've done a couple of episodes lately where we're talking about where the paranormal, rather than being a community, is a fad.
Yeah.
And
it's become,
the concern is that if something becomes a fad, that means it also has the likelihood of being not followed or uninteresting or no longer a fad or,
right.
So,
or whatever legitimate interest in it seems to go away because it just gets diluted with.
So what happens is if there's so many shows out there, and because we've noticed it this year, instead of pulling back on some of the shows, now some channels have pulled back. There's been a couple of cancellations this year. People are like doubling down. They're like, well, now we'll make this type of ghost show.
Yeah.
And now there's like more ghost shows than there are other things these days.
I think I really do think it's sort of the interest in some of these things is dwindling, and I don't know. I think it's kind of going to go back the way it was.
Yeah.
Like back in the day. I don't know. Who knows, man? It's hard to say. It might be something 2023 is like the death of whatever. The death of paranormal shows. They just need to go away or something, man.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. I mean, we watched a show last night that was basically the same show with 3 different titles, cut and edited with the same footage 3 different ways.
Yeah. It was a Bigfoot show.
Yeah, I'm like, haven't we seen this 400 times? It's like, oh, no, it'd be like, oh, at one time this clip was used in Terror in the Woods, and now it's used in like.
Yeah.
I'm just tired of it all. And you know what else I'm tired of? So it's got a minute or two to rant.
Yeah.
I've been tired of this for a while, too. Extreme anything when it's involved with cryptid research or paranormal or UFO. If you're like a group or something like that, and you're like, we're going to call ourselves Extreme Ghost Investigation Team of Destruction. Drop the extreme. What makes you extreme? You're wearing a black freaking T-shirt with extreme written on it?
Oh.
I mean, seriously, what makes you extreme?
Me and somebody from one of
You're not going to, rappel down the side of a building, kick a window in, and run in there and look for ghosts? Why are you extreme?
Yeah. Me and somebody from one of our favorite groups, me and him were talking. He's like, what'd you do? Just pick up like a 5-pack of these like Bella and Canvas black shirts?
Yeah, it's like, can I get this extreme? It's like, stop, man. Who cares? And, and a lot of people like to say that Ghost Adventures started that. By being extreme, wearing all black and doing all that crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they probably had a big influence in it because they're still around and they're one of the longest running ghost shows, period. And, whether you like them or not, they've been successful with it. But I think it's more around, it seems to me it's more related to wrestling.
Wrestling and magicians.
Because we had that period where you had like, what's his face?
Chris Angel.
And
then Billy the Exterminator.
Dog the Bounty Hunter was even kind of extreme for a minute. And then you had extreme wrestling and extreme this and extreme. It's like, stop, man.
Yeah.
Stop. And why are you wearing all black T-shirt in the dark? Can't see anything at all. And, it's had some, why doesn't it glow in the dark? Come on. What's the point? Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little tired of that sort of extreme.
So
we're extreme. We're going to take our extreme multiple platform investigation van called the Albino Rhino and run off. And it's like, stop. Who cares? You're not extreme.
We're going to put a little black investigator hat on our extreme Pomeranian Chihuahua,
Yeah.
and she's going to hunt Bigfoot.
And there's, and I get wearing there are certain people that wear the black hats, but they wear them all the time. That's just part of who they are. And I get that.
Yeah. But
let me tell you something.
Yeah.
If we're going out in the woods to hunt Bigfoot in a local area with a local person, right? Mm-hmm. And you look at them and they got a T-shirt, a pair of jeans, a freaking Ozark Trails backpack from Walmart, and a stick, mm-hmm. I trust them more than the guy that's rocking $1,000 worth of stupid gear to a vest and a fanny pack and way more.
But see, I also have that same argument in the hiking community all the time. Because I would rather ruin a pair of leggings and also have a bright safety orange backpack in case something happens. Because if I destroy that pair of leggings while, I don't know, maybe I have to scramble over some rocks, that's fine. I'm not going to cry about destroying an $80 pair of leggings. And a bright orange safety backpack, should something very, very awful happen, you'll find my body. Which, is very grim and morbid to say.
Or maybe they'll find you with the twisted ankles down the hill or something. Why don't you go that route and say, you'll find my...
But still.
You're just like, that's it, I'm out.
Yeah, but if I've only twisted my ankle, I'll be shouting the whole time, I'm here! Come find me,
Maybe.
So, but it's funny the overlap there with the hiking community for me, or the cryptid community and the paranormal community. There's a uniform now or a trend.
Yeah, I just think we all just need to freaking simmer down a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the shows with all these millions of shows, it seems, that are out there, hundreds, there's a lot of them.
Ooh, maybe.
Let's just reel it in again.
Maybe because we're getting older, we don't have to be extreme anymore. We can just be super professional.
All right, I got a problem with that too.
The older folks that are
There
researchers.
are groups out there, and they're usually small.
Yeah.
And local. We are not ghost hunters. We are paranormal investigators. We are paranormal researchers. Mm-hmm. Don't call us the ghost hunter. It's get off of it. All right. Just back up, man.
See, I wasn't going that route.
Well, no, but I've seen it. It's you want to throw shade on somebody that says they're a ghost hunter and shows up and kind of does it recreationally or whatever. Yeah. But you're a paranormal researcher, and you also are doing it recreationally because you have a job just like the other person does or whatever. But you're going to get all worked up and bent out of shape about it, and that's the wrong attitude to have. They're oh, I'll show you. And you're wearing the same extreme paranormal crap that the other guy's wearing because he too bought a T-shirt from Hot Topic or whatever, right? It's how do you want to – it's at the end of the day when you're oh, man, so you're a paranormal researcher and you're a ghost hunter. I haven't heard of either one of you guys. So, I mean, you would think that there has to be some sort of something going on there. That if you're professional and you've been doing it for 25 years, how come nobody's ever heard of you? And you're a ghost hunter and you've been doing it for 5 years, how come nobody's ever heard of you? And all I'm trying to say is I think that a lot of what's going on now is people are getting a little big for their britches because the bubble of all of this stuff with UFOs, cryptids, and paranormal stuff is getting smaller.
Yeah.
So now you got to make more room for yourself. It's hey man, just simmer down. I don't care. If we're going to go out somewhere, I don't care whether you're a ghost hunter or an investigator. If you have something that's interesting that we should be able to take and join in with you and see what's going on, I'm all about it.
For me, a paranormal investigator or researcher or ghost hunter would look more legit to me wearing
tweed, pipe,
the ones that go
ascot.
out. No, the ones that do investigations.
Like Heineck?
They look more legit to me wearing a mask like Zach Baggins is because you're going into a moldy, mildewy, rusty, dusty place.
Yeah.
Or
I think people stopped making fun of him because of COVID.
Well,
with the whole thing. I mean,
but he's been in so many buildings. He genuinely developed
even with the Urbex stuff, I wouldn't want to go cruising around any of these old, mold, nasty, dank places because you can.
I have two friends that I keep in contact with, and one of them, she does a lot of stuff in Ohio, and she does a lot of stuff in Indiana. Same thing. She wears the full breathing mask thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
like N95, or
yeah.
not N95. What is it like?
Like the ones with actual like little filters on the sides, you know.
Yeah, we used to get them from 3M when we do stuff.
But she also will wear that mask when she
Micron
goes
filters.
like spelunking in Mammoth Cave, you know. So,
And you probably should. I mean,
yeah.
hey, you're in a cave. I mean, some places, of course, are so well traveled with tourists or whatever that a lot of contagions that are in there are probably not there anymore. But there are also other dusty places. I mean, look at New Mexico or just the desert environment in general. It's full of like dried up bat poop. And you're kicking the dirt around.
And prairie dog poop.
And hantavirus.
Yeah.
And the freaking plague is still there. It makes sense to in some places that maybe haven't been trafficked enough to keep things kicked up and stirred around, maybe blown out by the wind. You probably want to not breathe that stuff.
Yeah.
Like if we were in a tomb in Egypt, I would straight up have a mask on. Yeah. Hey, you want to kick around, get some mummy dust up on your nose?
And
I already have a sinus infection, like all the time.
Yeah.
It's just going to make it worse.
And it wouldn't be a mask that looks
They're going to
all
be like, Mr. Greg, you have an extreme sinus infection.
high fashion. It would be like a legit mask or, at least
you could bedazzle it. Like what happened with that? Everybody's bedazzling stuff for a while, according to the commercial. I don't think nobody is.
Or like, a really secured bandana. But anyways, we're getting off track. I mean, the extreme look and the extreme attitude and
I think a lot of people probably aren't doing that.
Yeah.
As much. It's just when I happen to see that, a lot of times it's attached to somebody that's just like, all right, you really need to simmer down. Yeah, they're going over the top for whatever reason. There are certain extreme, or we call them black hat people.
But not all.
Not all. That I straight up trust with this stuff. I'm like, okay, you put in the legwork. This is your thing.
Yeah.
It's just the thing. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just grumpy. So, and you can wear a hat. Hats are good to wear. You know what I mean? They protect your head, keep your ears from getting cancer, skin cancer.
So
every time you see a fat guy cruising around the woods looking for Bigfoot and he's got a big stupid hat on, it's probably there for a reason. Number one, keeps the sweat from going in his eyes. Number two, he don't want to get skin cancer.
We sit here complaining about the fashion of paranormal and Bigfoot hunting.
Well, dude, if you show up looking like Indiana
Etsy
freaking
open
Jones,
where I'm looking at like these high fashion hats.
You're gonna get like a super glittery hat.
I'm getting a super investigator hat.
And for all those who are still listening, if you still care, I actually bought a new hat. Got it for Christmas. First one in like 12 years. Most expensive hat I think I've spent.
Ooh, here's the good investigator.
It's a nice hat because if a good hat's good for you. Plus, it's hopefully it'll keep my ears from getting burnt off the side of my head when we go places.
Yeah.
Because the sun gets more. Sun's dangerous, everybody. Skin cancers and sweating in your own freaking eyes, trying to walk up to go see some stupid waterfall.
It's a nice waterfall. It's a haunted waterfall with dogman sightings, so we're going.
I've already gone. It's a crappy waterfall. It was muddy the entire time. There was 1,000 people. And the chances of that actually being a dogman sighting out there is more than likely some weirdo hippie that likes to walk around and crapping in the woods.
Or what I found out last year, there was somebody...
Feral human?
There's somebody camping up at the top.
That's illegal. Straight to jail.
Because last year, my footage of it when it was like almost frozen, there was somebody camping up at the top, and after like 5 days, Forest Service had to go up there and remind them of the rules for that particular area.
After 5 days?
Yeah.
That seems a little long.
No.
Huh.
So that's a little tip for some of y'all looking for Bigfoot and Dogman. Some places here on the East Coast, if you're in some of the national forests, you can spend up to 5 days camping. Primitive camping, I should say.
That depends. Yeah. Depends on where it is.
Just make sure you look at the
I think it's
posted
7
signs.
in New Mexico.
Yeah.
Just random, but
check the posted signs.
Yes, indeed.
So
anyway, I think we've done about enough. We've done all we can do this year.
Yeah.
At this juncture. So I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Anyway.
Okay.
I do appreciate listening to the CreepGeeks Podcast. So let's hope next year is pretty good.
Yep. And if you want to stay in touch with us, make sure you visit us on social media, like CreepGeeks on Facebook, and check out our TikTok. That's it.
Okay. I thought you had more to say. I'm like,
Happy New Year, everybody. And, reach out if you've got something to share.
There you go. Any questions, comments, concerns, let us know. Anyway, see you later. Take it easy. Bye, Sickle.
Bye.
flee, dismiss me or keep me, just let me go home. She'll be burning a candle under the mantle when the evenings get cold. She knows that I'll grow slowly as a raindrop down her window pane. She knows that I'll hold her locket on a chain to keep the evil things away. She knows that I'll hold slowly as a raindrop down her window pane. She knows that I'll hold her locket on a chain to keep the evil things away.